I'm standing here with Jade Claes, who is engineer and architect at RKD and also pursuing a PhD at Ghent University. And I would like to ask Jade, what can companies actually do in order to reduce the embodied carbon in, for instance, data centers?
Well, the first most important thing is think about your requirements, how big you need to build, because not building is always the best thing. And thereafter, it's important to think at your operational energy use, so renewables will help, etc. But be aware, if you think only at your operational energy use, there is also an embodied part. Materials are also important. Think about materials with a lower embodied impact, that's also important. And taking these 3 steps into account, I think that will be already a strategy. And you don't have to be perfect in one time to build perfect carbon-free, but each little step will help to build better for the future.
I'm standing next to Boone, who is the data center lead of Ingenium. He just concluded his presentation by saying that steel is a key enabler for data center construction. So Wim, what did you learn during our event? What are your takeaways from this event?
Well, it's amazing how many steel is used in the construction of data centers. And the CO2 footprint is an important one, besides that we use steel in construction of the data centers themselves. But steel is also encountered in the many MEP elements that are used for cooling, for electricity, PV panels. I can't imagine any component which doesn't contain any steel.
I'm standing here next to Philippe Diez, who is senior expert at McKinsey. He just gave a fascinating account on the global trends in the data center market. And I'd like to learn from Philippe. From your point of view, Philippe, what will most influence the future of data center construction?
Yeah, so the data center operators, they really have 2 concerns. One, which is really short term, which is to have fast access to power. And the second, which is a kind of a long-term trend in the industrial order and commitment, which is to be as sustainable as possible. So when it comes to power connections, they were looking for sites which have the power available today. And when it comes to sustainability, they are looking at 2 things: energy, the type of energy, so as low carbon as possible, and the type of materials that will be used in building data centers. And I would say when it comes to these green materials, especially steel, it can have a big impact on the total, carbon footprint. But even more, if it can help in terms of economics, the data center operator to whether differentiate or have a lowest cost of building or operations. And we believe that in Europe we can differentiate actually by having the greenest overall, both the energy and the material side versus other parts of the world which are less concerned by that.
I'm standing next to Jonathan Martens, who is the global industry lead at Ramboll Management Consulting for buildings and cities, that is. He just delivered a presentation at the professional workshop on low embodied carbon data center buildings facilitated by ArcelorMittal Steligence. And I'd like to learn from you, Jonathan, why do you think an event such as this one is important for the data center industry?
I mean, it's critical to get the ecosystem together. I mean, we don't have the answer as consultants and engineers. The manufacturers like yourselves don't have all the answers. The developers don't have all the answers themselves. So we really need to get everyone together and talk about solutions, talk about what works, what doesn't work. And it's also a growing industry. So the industry itself is learning a lot and learning by doing projects and after projects.
I'm standing here with André Monteiro, who is the head of ArcelorMittal Steligence Engineering and also the host of this professional workshop on low embodied carbon data center buildings. André, if you were to summarize this event in say 2 or 3 bullet points, what would be the most important takeaways according to you?
Yeah, so for me, important would be to challenge the status quo, so the current way we design the data center buildings, the quick wins, what we can have as easy wins in terms of embodied carbon, not with very difficult redesigns and specifications, and at the end collaboration. I think collaboration is very important. We miss early stage collaboration in order to get the best outcome out of our projects in data center buildings.